I thought walking would be the easiest way to lose weight, but I kept getting it wrong. I was messing it up, and I'm going to share some of the not so obvious things that you can get wrong when it comes to walking for weight loss so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. And if you're ready to get into the best shape of your life with walking and kind of avoid making these mistakes and get started on your journey, become the best version of yourself, make sure to like this video and also comment down below what are your goals with walking? Where are you in your walking journey? And yeah, let's root each other on in the comments. Also, if you're new here, my name is Coco. I talk all things fitness, self development, and wellness. And I'm also a registered nurse, so you might as well subscribe and join the tribe. Okay. So, getting right into it, one of the very first things that I was getting wrong when it came to walking for weight loss is I was trying to walk like 20,000 steps, 30,000 steps when I first started out. So I was like, okay, if walking is a secret, then I'm going to walk as much as possible. I'm going to walk for hours. I'm just going to walk around the whole city. But I was going from being super sedentary, sitting all the time, working at a work from home job, sitting at a desk, barely getting any steps to having this grand idea of walking like 20,000 steps. And that is exactly what I did quite a few times. I can show you the proof. And especially when I first started out. And that was one of the biggest mistakes I could have ever made, which it sounds good because like, okay, well, if this is the answer, then let's do nothing but this, right? But that was burning me out. I was going from this drastic amount from barely getting any steps to literally putting my body on fire and just going crazy. So going from like 2,000, 3,000 steps a day to going to 20,000 is a little bit insane and is torturous. So I had to realize that that was way too many to try and start out with. It was just way too big of a goal to try and keep myself to, hold myself to, especially at the beginning of the journey. And that burned me out. So then I'd end up skipping days by the time I did a day or two like that. Then I was done for the rest of the week for 2 weeks. And now I'm even in a worse predicament than before. Had I just started with a reasonable amount, now I do anywhere from like 8 to 12,000 steps. Now I've been walking for quite a long time. So there are days I'm walking around the city. I do get a lot more steps, but starting out without being someone who gets steps in like that, it sounds easy, like, yeah, okay, walking is just walking, but going with such a big, enormous goal, going from 2,000 to 20,000, your body is going to let you know that it is not the happiest. I was super sore, I was tired, and trust me, I just do not recommend going from being mostly sedentary to walking 15, 20, 30,000 steps. So that was the very first thing that I got wrong. The next was not walking with the proper attire, not walking with the proper shoes, not walking with the proper socks, also not walking with the proper posture. All of these things are so crucial because, again, at the end of it, if you're just walking with really flat shoes, shoes that don't have comfort, which is what I did when I first started walking and starting out on my journey, and my feet would be incredibly sore and I would not feel like walking the next day. I'd have to ice my feet. It wasn't a good feeling, again, because it was making such a drastic difference in how much my body is used to walking. And then also just focusing on my posture. So, not slouching and making sure that I have good posture when I'm walking. All these things really help when it comes to feeling good after the walks and not feeling absolutely drained and tired and sore. They all work together and they all are so important. Having good socks, even cushion socks, is so underrated. I make sure that I have good supportive socks, good supportive shoes when I go on my walk so that I'm not really sore afterward. And that's another thing that I was not doing when I first started my walking journey. Another thing is making sure that I am hydrated enough. When I first started out, who needs water? Walking outside, I'm like, okay, big deal. I'm just going to be walking. But depending on the weather, especially during the summer, we're coming into the fall, so it's a little nicer, but really still making sure that you're hydrated. I had to realize that, especially for me, I love a good cup of coffee in the morning. So I will go for that in the morning and wonder, why am I so tired? because I haven't had any water whatsoever. We sleep for 8 hours with nothing in our system, and to wake up and just have juice, just have coffee, whatever may have you, and then just, okay, let me just go on this walk for an hour or hour and a half, whatever the case may be. Yeah, that is going to be even more tiring because I didn't hydrate myself first. So I had to realize and recognize and start incorporating drinking water before my walks, getting enough water so that I'm not going out into my walks super dehydrated, running on coffee, which dehydrates you even more. So having a plan with that, making sure that I hydrate before and after my walks. So again, I'm helping my body recover quicker, and I'm not making it harder on myself by being dehydrated. So that is a very key thing that I had to recognize and realize. The other thing is, I used to think that I could still eat however I wanted, I could still drink however I wanted, especially. And I would, a lot of times, especially, or another thing is that when it came to eating and drinking, I thought, okay, I'm getting all my exercise from the walking. I don't really have to change much with my eating, but I will eat healthier. But I did not realize that there were still things that I was incorporating in my diet that I was not cutting out that was making a huge difference. One, getting coffee from coffee shops and getting like a large or venti coffee, the new caramel, pumpkin spice, whichever drink, and it has like a lot of sugar, it has a lot of calories, and not accounting for that. So thinking, yeah, I'm eating healthy, but not accounting for the drinks that I'm having, not accounting for these coffees, these sugary coffees, these juices that I'm drinking. So I had to realize that sometimes some of the drinks that I would drink are equivalent to a whole meal as far as the calories. I had to recognize that, get rid of those sugary drinks. Again, it was not helping me get anywhere toward my goal. And then a lot of times, just one drink would be the same amount of calories I burned on my walk. So it's not about, okay, like I'm going to walk this, really intense walk. I'm going to walk for hours and then I'm going to go eat whatever I want. So I had to realize that, or drink whatever I want. And then also, when it comes to eating, I had to realize that just the same as understanding that I can't overeat, like under eating was also working against my goals, because now that's slowing down my metabolism, because I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not going to eat a lot. I'm going to skip this meal. So I had to realize that skipping meals was not the answer either, but eating full, balanced meal, getting all the necessary nutrients, getting protein, complex carbs, protein, healthy fats, all the above, and incorporating that into my diet was so much more important than trying to skip meals. And again, this helps me to have the energy to continue to go on the walk. So they all work hand in hand. And also, when I tried to skip meals and not eat until the end of the day, then that's when I ended up just going crazy with food. And then it's like, okay, I want this, I'm gonna have dinner, and then I'm gonna have some chips, some popcorn, and then I'm gonna have cookies and ice cream. So again, at that point, defeating the purpose. Like, if I'm going to not eat all day, but then eat the craziest processed unhealthy foods at the end of the day, at the end of it all, that is not any better. So that was another thing that I had to realize was really halting my progress when it came to walking for weight loss. So that was something that I also had to change. And then another thing that I had to change was understanding that walking does so much for our cardiovascular system, for our health, for weight loss, but muscle building is also so crucial and important as far as getting fit, getting into shape, being healthy, because muscle burns fat, muscle builds our metabolism, muscle is good for longevity and health. It's so many reasons to build muscle, build strong muscle for longevity. So that was something that I had to realize, okay, cardio is great, walking is great, but it is not a all in all fix. Like, I can just only walk and not do any other type of fitness and I will be okay. Walking is really, really great, but strength training is also really important. So I realized that I had to start incorporating that as well. And when it comes to strength training, understanding that starting even with just body weight exercises, doing things like squats, lunges, reverse lunges, push ups, pull ups, things like that, where simply with body weight before even getting to actually lifting weights, especially as someone who was newer to that, not really sure what to do. That is a great way to start focusing on form, understanding how to go about going to the gym and learning machines. So, starting with lower, lighter weights and focusing on form more than anything, looking at TikTok or Instagram, YouTube videos that will show you how to do a proper squat, how to do Romanian deadlifts with dumbbells, things like that. And then advance also from body weight to having light weights, doing squats now maybe with 10-pound weights, things like that, but just advancing. And as I realized, just, doing something that was challenging enough for me, but not so heavy that I wasn't able to have the proper form, that I was risking hurting myself. So just really focusing on safety and the proper form and what feels good, but also a little challenging, and incorporating that also together, coupled with walking, just made such a big difference in my health, my body, my endurance levels. Just together, it's really amazing. I see how much energy I have as opposed to before. Even when I do fitness classes, I recognize that I have so much more endurance, so much more energy in order to complete different exercises as opposed to like before. So it's just building that strength, building that endurance, and becoming the best version of yourself fitness wise, and meeting those goals that you have for yourself. And another thing was, after a certain point of walking every single day, doing the same amount of steps, noticing that my body was starting to plateau and honestly just get used to the steps that I was doing. And that's when I realized that I needed to adjust kind of the difficulty level, kind of challenge my body a little more. So instead of just walking on a flat terrain, like walking on hills, walking, trying to get an incline, or increasing my speed to get my heart rate up a little more. So just really kind of challenging that status quo of the same amount of steps, the same speed, but instead increasing the speed or increasing the intensity, using hills, things of that nature, instead of just walking with the same speed. Also adding like a weighted vest, for example, or ankle weights, just to again increase the intensity of it, so that the body does not kind of just plateau and get adjusted to that same walk, that same walking speed, to where it's not, the body's not being challenged as much anymore. And another thing is just recovery. So understanding, again, not overdoing it, getting rest, understanding that it's not every single day that has to be done. Some days you might need a break from walking. It's better to take a break than burn yourself out, to feel overworked and to feel just like burnt out where you don't want to walk at all anymore. So instead of getting to that point, taking rest days. If there's a day maybe you're not going to walk for as long, but just getting some movement, but still just giving your body a break of not trying to go crazy with 12,000, 15,000 steps every day. Giving yourself a break, switching it up, allowing yourself to rest, because rest is so important and recovery is so important for seeing progress. It's all a part of the journey. I know we hear team no sleep or no days off, but take the days off, rest, recover, and do what feels best for you. It's so important. So walking definitely works. It's about recovery, consistency, all the above. Let me know down in the comments which of these resonated with you the most, so that you can continue on your walking journey. And also, if you haven't already, make sure to comment, make sure to like, and make sure to subscribe. And I can't wait to see you in the next video.